Severe weather is about to ramp up in a big way, bringing the potential for tornadoes and major wind damage. A large omega block is developing across much of the United States, creating a weather pattern capable of producing thunderstorms from the Great Plains to the East Coast. Damaging winds, large hail, and multiple tornadoes could occur on a daily basis. At the same time, parts of the Northeast may even see some snowfall, but severe weather remains the primary concern. A major weather battleground is about to unfold. Let's begin with the severe weather outlook for the next 3 days. Today, a level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather stretches from South Dakota into northern Oklahoma. This region faces a significant threat of damaging winds and possible tornadoes during the afternoon and evening. A much broader marginal risk extends from Little Rock, Arkansas to Billings, Montana, including parts of central Texas. The main concern today is damaging winds. Areas near Wichita, Kansas, southwestern Nebraska around North Platte, and Wichita Falls, Texas, could experience wind gusts between 75 and 80 miles per hour. Elsewhere, isolated wind gusts of 55 to 65 miles per hour are possible. Large hail is also a concern, with some storms capable of producing hail up to baseball size. The greatest risk appears to be around and west of Wichita, Kansas, and potentially near North Platte, Nebraska, if storms develop there. The tornado threat today is focused in 3 separate regions with different setups. The first area is around a low-pressure system across South Dakota and Nebraska, where a few supercells may produce brief tornadoes. The second area is near North Platte, Nebraska, where a highly conditional but potentially significant storm could generate a visible and photogenic tornado. The third area is across Kansas and far northern Oklahoma, where a few supercells may develop and potentially merge. If that happens, there could be a risk of a significant EF2 or stronger tornado near Wichita, Kansas. Despite these concerns, the Storm Prediction Center currently assigns only a 2% tornado risk, representing the lowest tornado probability category. Tomorrow, the pattern largely repeats across the central and northern plains. A marginal risk extends from areas north of Tulsa into North Dakota, while a slight risk covers regions around Sioux Falls and Omaha. Damaging wind gusts and large hail remain the primary threats, with Omaha facing a particular risk for very large hail. A low tornado threat also exists from central South Dakota to areas north of Kansas City. If a storm develops in the right environment, an isolated strong tornado cannot be ruled out. On Monday, severe weather is expected to continue across the central plains and into the southeast. Damaging winds and a few tornadoes are possible. Current forecasts may not fully capture the highest risk areas, as there is growing concern that 2 significant lines of thunderstorms could develop during the afternoon. These corridors may eventually receive upgraded outlooks, with the possibility of numerous to widespread damaging wind reports. Looking at today's timing, storms may begin developing as early as mid-afternoon around a low-pressure system in Wyoming. Moisture will be somewhat limited in this region, reducing the tornado threat, though a few brief and weak tornadoes remain possible. Additional storms are expected across parts of Oklahoma, near Kansas City, and into northern Arkansas. Because these storms will be positioned well ahead of the dry line, the tornado risk is relatively low. However, isolated hail up to the size of pocket change and wind gusts between 60 and 70 miles per hour are possible. These storms are expected to remain mostly scattered, bringing threats of damaging winds, large hail, and a low risk of tornadoes. Storm coverage will gradually increase from the Kansas City area southward into southern Arkansas. Meanwhile, storms developing west of Wichita will begin to organize. If these storms merge into a single dominant supercell by the early evening hours, there could be a risk of a strong tornado. This area will need to be monitored closely through the late afternoon and evening. Around the same time, forecasters will also be watching the potential for a tornado near North Platte, Nebraska. This threat remains highly conditional because storm development depends on whether enough atmospheric lift is present. Confidence in storm initiation is not high, but if a storm does form, it could quickly become significant. Elsewhere, storms will remain widespread across Arkansas and northern Louisiana, with a few additional cells possibly developing south of Wichita Falls, Texas. By evening, storms near Rapid City and western Nebraska should remain relatively discreet, maintaining the potential for severe weather. As the night progresses, many of these storms are expected to become outflow dominant, shifting the primary threat toward damaging winds during the late evening and overnight hours. Sunday has the potential to be a significant severe weather day. The key question is whether storms will develop in the most favorable environment, which is currently forecast to extend from southeastern Nebraska, south of Omaha, into eastern Kansas and western Missouri. Forecast guidance shows significant tornado parameter values reaching around 3 on a scale from 0 to 10. While not extreme, values in this range can support strong tornadoes under the right conditions. Several forecast models indicate thunderstorm development during the early evening from North Dakota southward toward the Kansas City region, beneath an upper-level low centered over Montana. Any storms that remain isolated in this environment could produce very large hail and a few tornadoes. The highest tornado potential appears to be between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Residents near Omaha, as well as areas north and west of Kansas City, should stay alert for rapidly changing weather conditions Sunday evening. Later in the night, storms are expected to organize into a line, increasing the threat of widespread damaging winds. This line should continue eastward overnight towards St. Louis, bringing gusty winds into early Monday morning. Monday currently appears to have the greatest potential for a significant damaging wind event. A cluster of thunderstorms moving out of Missouri into Kentucky and Tennessee during the morning hours could evolve into a powerful squall line by the afternoon. If this scenario develops, widespread damaging winds could impact areas from Missouri through Tennessee and Kentucky, with a low-end tornado threat also possible. Wind damage could be significant enough to bring down trees and power lines across cities such as Nashville, Memphis, Jonesboro, and Knoxville. The Tennessee Valley should remain especially alert Monday afternoon and evening, as a significant line of severe thunderstorms could move through the region. While the risk of a derecho remains uncertain, the setup bears watching because of its potential for widespread wind damage. The line is expected to continue eastward into Mississippi and Alabama during the evening, bringing damaging winds to areas including Birmingham. Farther east, Atlanta, Columbus, and surrounding communities could also face a substantial wind threat before the storms gradually weaken overnight as they approach Florida. At the same time, another line of thunderstorms may develop across Kansas and Oklahoma on Monday afternoon. This system could quickly produce another corridor of widespread damaging winds affecting Wichita, Woodward, Oklahoma City, and surrounding areas. Because of these factors, Monday may become one of the most active severe weather days of the period. In addition to the severe weather concerns, an unusual weather event is unfolding across New England, where some locations are experiencing flurries and light snowfall. Minor accumulations are occurring at higher elevations despite it being late May. This unusual cold is being driven by strong upper-level winds pulling chilly Canadian air into the northeast. Looking ahead into the first week of June, the overall weather pattern will shift, but severe weather is expected to remain active across the Great Plains. Multiple mesoscale severe weather events appear likely. Tuesday could bring additional severe weather to portions of the northern, central, and southern plains. By Wednesday, another weak storm system may trigger more damaging winds and a low tornado threat from South Dakota into Minnesota. As the week continues, severe weather chances may expand into the Midwest. Forecast models suggest another storm system could affect Wisconsin by Friday, potentially increasing severe storm risks across Wisconsin and Michigan late in the week. Beyond that, confidence decreases significantly as forecasts head into the second week of June and the longer-range pattern remains uncertain. Between late afternoon and early evening, thunderstorm activity is expected to increase significantly. By around 5 p.m., storm coverage should expand from northeast of Denver through parts of the central high plains and toward Rapid City, setting the stage for a more active and potentially dangerous severe weather period.